Hello. Um, this is me with a face cam. Reasons will be clear in a bit, but I wanted to talk a bit about a recent EU4 tournament called the Draft that I participated in, and also maybe formally introduce myself. Well, maybe not formally. I figured I'd play an excerpt from Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto because I think that piece um, is my favorite to both play and listen to. I've actually played the piece before with an orchestra. I won a concerto competition back when I used to treat music a bit more seriously. Um, and oh man, I think to this day, that concert would be like one of the most fulfilling moments I've ever had in life. But we're not here to talk about music. We're here to talk about the tournament, the draft, and also why I am finally showing my face. Okay, so I'm gonna make myself a bit smaller. Mm, I have a particular philosophy with video cameras for streaming or videos, in that I think the more personal the video is, the more helpful it is to have a webcam, because when you have a very personal video or video about your thoughts, people tend to care about you. Whereas if you have a, say, gameplay video that focuses on gameplay or guides on some games, then I think face cams make less sense just because people are here to learn about the game or watch the game and not necessarily watch you as a person. But this video is more about my personal thoughts on a tournament that I went through called the draft, as I mentioned, and sort of it gives me an opportunity to reflect on it. So that's why I think it's somewhat appropriate to show myself here. So nice to meet you to people who have not seen me. This is me with fake glasses. I put on glasses because it's my last barrier to being anonymous. Not like glasses will really help, but I suppose it makes me look smarter, right? I don't know. So let's briefly talk about this tournament. Um, so I'll share some basic facts, okay? So this is an EU4 tournament, and I will be talking about um, the results of it. So spoiler alert, I will be saying some spoilers and um, briefly introduce the tournament. Okay, so first of all, there was a tournament hosted by Speed 5. Okay, ironically, there's no Speed 5 just because of lag and network issues, which we'll talk about. Um, and I'll explain the format behind the tournament, but there are 6 players, myself included. I was invited, I think, due to Flory. Flory said something about me, and then they wanted me. I think I initially declined the first opportunity just because I was busy. Um, I was less busy in the second opportunity that they invited me to. Um, and so I went for it. Overall, I have no regrets. I greatly enjoyed the learning experience. But so yeah, so there were 6 participants and 2 casters. So first, I should probably recognize and appreciate all the staff who go behind the the administrative work, the funding, making sure all the equipment's in right order, figuring out the schedules, and so on. I wish I could name all of them. Unfortunately, I only had interactions with 2 of the staffs, but I'm sure there were more behind the scenes. So my sincere thanks to them. There were 2 casters. I'm not sure if it's O or an E. I believe it's an E. Weird. Well, anyway, so let's just say E. And it was Zlevik. I assume you know him. If not, well, you can look this name up and type in EU4, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of videos by him. Um, and yep, Ludi. Um, People who know me might be aware that I haven't had the best history with Ludi. Um, I'll just give you a rundown. Nothing progressed or happened about it. We were very professional and cordial during the tournament, and in fact, he seemed fairly cool about the past the past that we had. For example, he referenced he joked that I should pick Uzbek, for example. So I would say, we aren't necessarily on the great terms just because we don't talk, but I think it's less hostile. People who aren't familiar with the fact that there's some sort of drama between Ludi and me um, should be aware that the TLDR is I found decent evidence for him cheating on a few videos. I approached him privately about it, but was very aggressive about it, which I think in hindsight didn't really help being able to resolve this. But it didn't get a response, so I posted a video about it, and then stuff escalated from there. Um, FYI, that's my perspective. So if that's all you know about this, you should probably not pick a side or judge someone. You should look into more information yourself before picking a side. Or, better yet, just don't care about it. It's just weird internet beef between two people. It's whatever. But I figure I should mention it because, Ludi is a fairly common, I guess, lore for people who do watch me a lot. So just know that nothing like crazy or serious happened. We were just professionally interacting with each other. And there was a game master. So I don't exactly know exactly how much this game master was able to have control, but in theory, she designed the challenges, the overall format, and stuff. Again, I don't know exactly how much control she had. For example, I'm sure she couldn't have made the format like 10 hours of gameplay, right? So within some limitations, Ghibli Jam was the person sort of designing the tournament. Okay. And the players were there was Lambert, Lord Lambert. I know him from Imperator Rome, actually. Montu plays. I do not know him, but apparently he plays Stellaris a lot. And there's Corbett, who you may know if you follow EU4. Cleo, I don't know her too well because I stopped playing or being active in E4 around the time she started. But she's an E4 streamer. And Torier, who I believe is like a generalist Paradox streamer or YouTuber, I don't know. And there's your truly me. And here's well, I already said spoiler alert, so I'll go ahead and spoil things. It's on you if you care about being spoiled and watch and continue watching. But big shout out to Torier. He's actually the only one who beat me in a head-to-head, at least in a way that I cared about. Technically, Corbett also beat me in a head-to-head in the final match, but there's reasons that I can give you on why I don't think that really counts. Basically, I didn't really care about the outcome of the match, so I was trying to do some memes, and so Corbett just beat me. But yeah, Torier, I like looking at the lineup. You don't really see any standout EU4 multiplayer people. I mean, Corbett is a very well-known EU4 player, but my understanding was he was mostly single player. There's me, who's never played multiplayer in any capacity except with friends. And I suppose I don't know too much about Cleo, so it's possible that she plays MP a lot and she's a favorite. But at least from my knowledge, none of these are like EU4 MP mains. So I wouldn't say the lineup was particularly competitive. And that includes myself. Like, I don't consider myself a competitive player in this particular style of EU4. But I thought Torier really stood out. I thought he played really well, given my expectations of him as a sort of generalist Paradox game player. So, really, huge shout outs to them. I think he could have actually potentially gone further up in the rankings. He actually wasn't able to make one of the days, so he lost a lot of he basically lost that tournament just because he missed a day, essentially. So, okay. So now that I gave all the shout outs, I'll now talk about the tournament. Okay. So, as I mentioned, there are 6 players, and there are 5 preliminary sessions with 3 1v1s, right? So the idea is that one day I'll be playing against Torier, one day I'll be playing against Cleo, etc. 5 days. Same for the other guys. So basically, it guarantees that everyone faces each other exactly once. And the idea of the game of each game or session is that you're given a list of 10 nations. Okay, and then um, when you face off each other, you get to ban 2 nations each. The bans alternate. So I ban something, the other person bans something, and so on. So we're left with 6 nations at the end, and then we pick, 1 nation. Okay, and then after that, we're given 10 challenges, and we pick 5, right? We alternate, so we can't pick the same challenges. Oh, same here, we can't pick the same nations. So here there are no bans for challenges. We just pick all 5 each. Okay, and then there's one special challenge that is revealed to us at the very end, and this is common to both players. Okay, so in summary, a given player has 1 nation, okay, 5 special or 5 individual challenges, and 1 special challenge. And completing a challenge gives you 1 point each. Completing a special challenge gives you 2 points with some asterisks. There were some ambiguities. For example, sometimes when both players completed the challenge, the +2 was split, so everyone got 1 point. Sometimes that it didn't split. I don't know. But yeah, the idea is that you complete a bunch of challenges and you get some points at the end of the round. So the maximum points you can get is 7. You complete all 5, and the special challenge you'll get 7 points. Okay, and at the end of each session, your all your points are for that session are tallied up, and they're summed together. So the idea is that you have a standing. I should just share a screenshot maybe, if I can find it. As you can tell, I'm very prepared. Let's see if I can find a good screenshot. Okay, by the way, spoiler alert, I'm going to show all the points. So if that worries you, just, I don't know, stop watching. I don't know. Okay, so basically this is what happened. Okay, so for each session, you get some amount of points. There are 5 preliminary sessions total, and all of that is summed up, and the top 2 players play in a head-to-head final. Okay, there's no noticeable advantage from being first place. So first and second are essentially equivalent when it comes to the overall final result. Okay, so yeah, that's the idea. Okay, so after these 5 preliminary rounds, there's going to be a final. The final is going to be a head-to-head between the first and second place. So that's going to be between me and Corbett. And the head-to-head, same exact role. You get 10 nations, you ban 2, blah, 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 and 10 challenges. And this time, the points do not matter except for tiebreak. It just matters that you win, and there's a best of 3. Okay, so essentially, there are going to be 3 rounds between Corbett and Lambda. And say Corbett gets X plus 1 point and I get X point, then Corbett is considered the winner for this round. Now say Corbett gets Y points and I get Y plus 2 points, I'm considered a winner. But the fact that I won by 2 points doesn't really matter unless the third round ends in a tie. Then that counts as a tiebreaker and I win. But yeah, the idea is that there's a best of 3, two, and each of these rounds are sort of independent from one another. Okay, so that's the overall format. There's some important notes that I should point out. So we do not know what 10 nations we have to pick, okay, until at least like a few minutes beforehand. So you can't really prep too much. And similarly, we don't see the 10 challenges while picking or banning nations, which is actually a little gripe of mine because it kind of makes the ban phase and the pick phase a bit less important than I feel like it could be. However, we are given the list of all possible challenges that can ever occur. So, you can do some sort of guesswork. For example, if the 10 nations are like near the HRE, maybe you can expect a dismantle HRE challenge, right? And I guess conversely, like if if the nations are, say, in India, you probably shouldn't expect challenges that relate to Europe. Okay. And so I now want to sort of talk about each individual game in a stream of conscious manner, so it's not all structured. Might be useful if you want to hear my perspective on why I made certain decisions and what I sort of learned. I think this is also useful for people who want to play in this kind of tournament because, um, I think I'm decent at EU4 and I'm also decent at thinking about EU4 adjacent topics. So I'm sure my opinions are somewhat useful. Okay, so let's talk about day 1. By the way, I assume you know how to read this, but it means that day 1 I got 3 points. Oops. Right, it means that day 1 I got 3 points, day 2, or match 2, session 2, I don't know, I got 2 points, 4, 4, 1, and then finals, okay, I guess I'll just spoil it. So Corbett got 4 in the first round. I got 3, so Corbett won. In the second round, I believe Corbett got, I believe he got 2. He might have gotten more, by the way, but I got 7, so I won. And in the last round, I believe it was 1-4. It might be 2-4, but anyway, I won, so I won the tournament. Woohoo! Okay, so now let's just sort of go over the individual matches. So how should I do it? I will. Okay, I have an idea. So I am going to share a window. Okay, and I'll just open the VODs here and talk about it. I also want to capture the annotations. Okay, so I want to test something. I believe if I were to do this, I can now write and you can see it. Yes, good. All right. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and play the first VOD. Oh, by the way, why am I showing my face cam? That's because this tournament strongly encourages me to show my face. First day, I didn't show my face. It says Torier, but that's me. This is my Maple Story character. I thought it was funny. But anyway, so this is going to be the first match. As you can see, there are 10 nations, and we get to ban 2, so on. We don't know the challenges, but from here, I knew the list of challenges, so I had a rough inkling like, oh, there will be stuff related to HRE, there will be stuff related to France, and so on. Just I guess like quickly going over what nations would be good. So generally, I think strong nations are pretty good, right? So I can see two very strong nations. Provence. Well, I would say Provence is the strongest. Switzerland is decently strong. So these two are immediately on my eyes. Like maybe these two are like one of these two should be good. There's also something to say about Landshut and Tyrol. So again, we knew the challenges ahead of time, or we knew the pool of challenges, not the 10 specific challenges we get, but we knew the pool of challenges. There's stuff like dismantle the HRE, take an elector, become an elector. So Landshut, forming Bavaria, has some scripted way to take an elector. So there's like a little minor point about that. And Tyrol, well, I assume the way you play as Tyrol is you release and play as starting from Austria, and there's stuff like dismantle HRE and sort of things that might help if you get to sort of ruin Austria, weaken Austria, right? So this is also an interesting pick. Anyway, so I pick first, which means that I ban first. So I ban once, um, Lambert bans next, I ban, Lambert bans, I pick, Lambert picks. That's going to be the sequence. And so let's see how the draft panned out. Oops. So, first of all, I ban Brunswick. Why? Because in my mind, I don't know or care about bans, honestly. Like, I want to leave open Provence because I'm the first pick. So, ideally, I get Provence. So, I just ban a random nation. Honestly, for the first few sessions, I don't do any strategic bans. I just ban 1, 2. I don't think banning is that important. Okay? So I ban Brunswick. Lambert bans Switzerland. So at this point, there's going to be one OP nation, Provence, right? So since I pick first, I should not ban Provence because it'll be on Lambert to ban Provence if he recognizes that's a strong nation. So I'm just gonna ban some random nation. Now here I could have considered banning Lancet or Tyrol because those two are also decent wildcards. But honestly, like that didn't cross my mind. It was just my eyes were on Provence, and I didn't care about the rest at that point. So I banned number 2. I didn't really care. Okay, and Lambert bans Thuringia. I don't really know the reason behind it. It's possible he wasn't like thinking too hard, just like I wasn't really thinking hard. But at this point, I'm like, okay, Provence. I need to pick Provence. That's the best nation because they're independent. They're outside the HRE, so they're pretty flexible. They have a France alliance, and they have a lot of opportunities to expand. Okay, so I pick Provence, and there's and sorry, Lambert picks Lancet. Okay, so now we reveal the 10 challenges. So as you can see, there are some sort of challenges that we could have anticipated. For example, this is HRE adjacent, so yeah, like we could have expected something like that. France does not exist. We're near France, so this kind of makes sense. Dismantle the HRE. Stack wipe the English. And yeah. So we alternate picks. Since I picked the nations, Lambert now picks the challenges first, or picks a challenge first, and then we alternate from there. So that is not what I meant to do, sorry. There should be a shortcut to wipe the... hmm. Darn, I'll just erase it manually. Okay, so how does it go on? Well, Lambert picks control and develop Ohm to 50. I think this is a very poor choice. Dev pushing a province to 50 is really time consuming. You really have to like put all your eggs in one basket and like focus on this challenge if you were to do it. You want to complete as many challenges as possible. I really don't think this is a great pick. But to be fair, these challenges were really hard. Like some of the earlier challenges were unbalanced. So, like we worked with what we got. Like none of the challenges were, I guess, trivial. Okay, what did I pick? I picked over 300 dead without owning more than 25 provinces. Now, this is a bit counterintuitive, at least to me. I thought, so we were given a separate document that described these challenges in more detail. It said subjects count towards the development requirement, but not towards the 25 provinces requirement. So I said, okay, I mean, Provence gets PUs on blah, blah, blah. I can really easily get this. It turns out that it's not 300 dev, but 300 GP score. So subject dev actually counts towards half of the development. I didn't know this ahead of time, so I underestimated the difficulty of this challenge. I don't think it was particularly my fault. I mean, the document was kind of ambiguous about it. So, I mean, actually, they were not ambiguous. It said development, so subject developments count or subject counts or something. So, well, oh well. So this is why I picked that. I thought it was quite easy. It's a bit harder now with the knowledge that you can't pick vassals only count for half the development. Okay. Okay, Lambert picks 10k ducats. Honestly, like none of the challenges are easy. He picked Lancet, right? A small HRE nation. Like stack wiping the English is hard. Dismantling the HRE is hard. Killing France is hard. Like, like it's just hard. Okay. Oh, sorry. He picks Elector. That makes sense because Lancet can form Bavaria and take the Elector. Sorry. Okay, I picked stack wipe the English. So the rules were not at all clear. In the document, it implied that I have to literally wipe out all of England's troops, right? I have to make them have 0 troops. So I took this because I envision a world where I might invade England, and if I can invade England, I can, make him have 0 troops. But it turns out that stack wipe the English just meant just stack wipe them in one battle. I did not know this, and so I should have done this challenge, taken this challenge more seriously. Okay, again, like none of the challenges are good. Leading producer of true trade goods, that's like impossible. Starting as an HRE miner. So like, but like I don't think you really had too many easier choices. Okay, dismantle the HRE. This was probably the easiest choice I had left. It's still quite difficult, but like, what else am I gonna do, right? Okay, he picks 10k ducats. I pick France as Anglist. Again, like there's a world where I get to kill France, right? But it's still quite hard. Dortmund and Ganj, yeah, it's not happening. And 100k manpower, it's not happening. Like unless I focus on it. But yeah, like that's just not happening. Later on, some of these challenges got balanced. Like the 100k manpower became 50k manpower. 10k ducats became 5k ducats, and so on. Okay. And now here's the bonus challenge that both of us can go for, which is Own Rome. Very easy for both of us, especially me, because Provence gets a PU or cores on Naples. And from there, it's just one province. And remember, this is worth 2 points, Own Rome. So this really saved the otherwise really hard set of challenges. Okay? And so we play. By the way, I should probably play sound, right? How do I do that? Audio capture of Chrome. Okay, so you should be able to hear sound now.
From his mission tree as Bavaria.
Yep. So they're whatever I can from my perspective. So this is me as Provence. I, did the first England war, and really my goal here was to just sort of stall while I sort of prep the dismantle. I was looking for an easy alliance chain, but it did not exist. So I sort of gave up on dismantle towards Maybe not at this point, but I give up fairly early on because I couldn't find a way to ally all the electors. I believe I was missing like 2 electors, and there's no easy way to pull all of them in the 2 electors and Austria in one war. So dismantling was just really hard.
French wars is not
100%.
But yeah, I do ally the electors, hoping that I can, I guess, get the dismantle. I do try to snipe some occupations, but I just miserably fail. I was too busy doing other stuff in Speed
Dismantle
4.
each area is gonna
Okay.
equal my back from the
So what goes on? Well, I fight Brittany. Why? Because I want to go for the PU Naples or Cores on Naples mission. Unfortunately, Naples goes independent fairly quickly, so I don't get the cores, but I still get the PU, and that's still relevant for the 300 dev over challenge, right? It's relevant for this guy. So I'm sort of eyeing for this, fishing for this through diplomacy, and remember, I thought that stack wipe the English meant I have to kill all English troops, so this was low priority, and I was also thinking about this as well. I definitely gave up on the 100k manpower, and own Rome, I sort of thought I can just trivially get through Naples, so I was working towards it, but I didn't really do anything special. Okay. Oops. Right.
has have to vanish.
So in the Brittany War, I get absolutely wrecked. But I do believe I managed to win at the very end.
Because Corby is
Let's see.
attack salutes.
And I just do the Brittany War to increase my development for the Naples mission, right? And so at this point, I declared on Naples. I got a PUCB. I prefer cores, but you know, I can't really wish for too much. So I got a PUCB and I get the PU. Okay. And now what happens? So I get the PU, and I am thinking about dismantle still. Okay, I'm also thinking about owning Rome, but that should be fairly easy. Oh, that's not even my perspective. So I Dow on Pope and get Rome. Very easy. So I believe at this point, I knew I was going to get coalitioned. So I actually found a way to get through the alliance chain and call in the electors that I wasn't allied to and deal with Austria, and it involved a no CB on a minor. Okay, so like I knew I was going to get coalitioned at this point, but I didn't really care. Why? Because if a coalition triggers, I can just release Naples. Actually, at this point, I thought I already had the 300 dev under the bag. But again, I then found out that vassals or subjects count for half the dev, so I didn't actually get it. So, you know, my plans were a bit foiled. But I do some last minute dev pushes, I believe. Let's see. Let's see if I can get to there. Where's my last minute dev push? Come on. Oh, right. So yeah, I actually found out at this point that I couldn't do it, right? Because Naples only counted for half. So I had to change my plan and Dow France. I thought, okay, instead of going for the dismantle, I'll just try to kill France and also get the 300 dev. So I Dow France, and I get him. And I believe after my Peace Deal France, I got the 300 dev challenge. Great. I also got the own Rome challenge, by the way. It doesn't show it, but I had Rome already. So that's 3 points for me. And if you saw the points, that's all I get. But after that, I greeted. I said, okay, let's try to do both dismantle and no. Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong, actually. Yeah, I think I'm wrong. Never mind. Yeah, so this is just me getting coalitioned. So I don't think I went for the HRE. Good. Okay. I wasn't totally losing my mind. So I am just trying to full annex France. I have like a minute, it's not going to work out, and it didn't work out. So that's me with 3 points. To be honest, like the challenges were just really tough compared to the other challenge. Well, compared to other challenges, I guess. And Lambert and I really had the short end of the stick, along with the people who played second. The people who played first had really easy challenges. But actually, you can sort of see that in the standings. I'm not sure if they show the points. They do. So Corbett and Cleo had really easy challenges on their first round, so they had a lot of points. Second round was kind of hard, Torier and Montu. And then third round was also pretty hard, Lambda and Lambert. Me and Lambert. Okay, so that was day 1. To be honest, I had no idea what I was doing, so I'm kind of glad I even got points because it was really tough, honestly. Anyway, so that is day 1. Let's talk about day 2. Okay, so that's me with a webcam. And that's why I have a webcam. I've sort of broken the whole no webcam thing, so might as well show myself whenever it's relevant or I think it helps. So here I pick second. So Torier bans first. I ban, Torier ban, I ban, Torier picks, I pick. Okay. So this by the way, can I get rid of the swirls? So at this point the challenges were the nations were very interesting, right? So there are some very interesting picks. QQ, Naples, I would say are like the 2 main ones. I think Tunis is also very good. And yeah, I would say Novgorod is very good, but I think the early Muscovy War is tough in the draft setting. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Okay. We're playing in multiplayer by connecting to Parsec in a server that I believe is hosted in Sweden. It's a lot of lag. There's a lot of input lag. And the best we can do is speed 4. On some days, like this day, I was stuck on speed 3 for most of the game. So like you really can't do much. You really can't do much. It doesn't flow like in multiplayer. Sorry, in like single player. It even doesn't flow like in your at-home multiplayer games because we're going through like 2 layers of latency here, right? One's the MP latency, and the other is we're playing on a computer in Sweden. I believe it's Sweden, but I'm not sure. Okay, but anyway, so I was going for this. These were like the objectively good picks, I think. You might say Horde is good, but I think Horde is pretty bad in this setting because you can't micro, raising takes a long time, and Hordes really need good micro. Otherwise, they're just another nation, really. And Crimea, I don't think really starts in a great spot nowadays because they can't get an easy Ottoman alliance. Ottomans tend to be hostile. If Crimea can get an easy Ottoman alliance, then yeah, I think they're actually pretty decent. But that's not true. So I don't think Crimea is a particularly great pick. So let's see how the bans go through. Oops. I don't really know how to use this.
Give me the plant.
Okay. Okay, QQ.
Number 1. Just kidding. I pick first. My bad. So I ban Mali. Again, I just banned 1 and 2 because I didn't really care. I didn't really have much strategy in mind and I was lazy.
Mali.
So I banned Mali and Adela.
Okay.
Okay. Torier bans Novgorod. Not so sure why, actually. I think Novgorod is a very weak pick. But maybe he was just throwing away a ban and leaving the OPs. I'll talk later about what the overall strategy for these things should be. Okay, I banned Adalkis, whatever. And Torier bans QQ. This is actually a really good ban, I think, because I think of the nations that remained, QQ was the standout best nation. So now, like, I think like Naples, Tunis, Ethiopia are all like decent picks. But you know me.
You'll be picking.
Let me see what.
Are you going for Kiva or if you
Oh wait, no, so Torier does pick first, so he must have banned wait, what? I'm so confused.
Road?
So number Mali.
Oh, he said he bans Novgorod, but the UI didn't update in time. And I think yeah, okay, never mind. Okay, good. Okay, so he picks first.
Okay, so already shipped.
He picks Tunis. I think Tunis is a pretty solid pick. Just because they have decent diplomacy and easy targets. Then there's Naples. I think Ethiopia maybe is good. I'm not sure. It depends on how easy the Mamluks war is or how important it is for them to fight the Mamluks in the list of challenges we get. But
Ethiopia.
you know how I'm smiling.
Pick. Are you going for Kiev or Ethiopia?
I go for Crimea.
Crimea. All right.
I pick a horde. I mean, I can't say no to a horde, right? So I picked a horde, mostly for fun. I don't think Crimea was the best pick, but I don't think they're like that bad of a pick either.
It's not.
Okay, and here are the list of challenges. I get to pick first, remember? So let's just talk about some of these challenges. So, 4 gold mines. That's not happening as Kilwa. Sorry, not Kilwa, as Crimea. There aren't enough gold mines near me. So this is bad. Okay. Own Rome as Muslim, own Mecca as Christian. I would say this is like pretty bad as well. I'll add like a frowny face. It's potentially doable, but like getting to Rome as Crimea is really hard. Like the Europeans see you, so you're gonna get coalition pretty easily. You don't really have a strong navy, so you can't really get to Rome super quickly. Okay. Golden Age, super easy. Okay. Form a different nation. I would give like a meh face. Forming Great Horde is really hard because you have to fight Muscovy, and a bunch of other nations. But I was thinking you can form Georgia by releasing play as. So Georgia has a fairly decent or easy requirement. Flip to Coptic or Orthodox. This is super easy. Because the nature of the challenges is that you can do it. You can do all these challenges at the very end, right? So at the very end, I just like release all my land and just become Orthodox. It's not that hard. Have total 300 dev, but blah blah blah. So this, in theory, I thought was easy, but I think now I changed my mind. I think this is pretty hard. Like 300 dev is a lot to conquer as Crimea. And you have to do some additional micro at the very end to ensure you don't have provinces over 10 dev. Right, so you have to like either give it away or be conscious about not conquering them. 100 spy network in all 2 rivals. This I thought was really hard. But honestly, like I think this is pretty good. So I'd give a smiley face here. Not like a free challenge, but decent. Having a stay with 100% loyalty, I would say this is like a smiley face. Like this is doable as most nations, as most setups. I think it's slightly hard as a tribe compared to monarchies or non-hordes rather, because there's an estate privilege you can give that unlocks a decision that gives 15 loyalty at the cost of like 5 prestige. That thing can really help. Okay, Madagascar, that's not happening as Crimea. And fully reconquest, at that point I thought it was like meh. Like it's maybe doable, like I have to fight the Ottomans. But it's 1 war against the Ottomans, right? Or 2 wars if I need to release Biz first. So this was essentially what I was on my mind. Except these things were on my mind as well. Like I thought this was hard, and I thought this was decently easy. Okay, so let's see how the ban goes. Sorry.
Can we have a copy in Discord of what they are?
Let me try doing a screen.
Stream the
Me. Be
is going
7. Alright,
Yep. Okay. Sorry. I picked Golden Age. I think this is a great pick. Golden Age is very free.
5.
Challenge number 5 on Rome.
This is a pretty good pick for Torier. He's Tunis, He's only like 1 or 2 wars away from Rome. And he can do it sort of at the very end, so he doesn't have to deal with the coalition. So I think this is a pretty good pick from him. Number 8. different nation. Actually, in my mind, I was gonna form Golden Horde, but I forgot that I had to fight Muscovy. But I think like forming Georgia was like a pretty good alternative. So I think this is fine. Stay with 100% loyalty. Very easy for Tunis, so good pick from Torier.
Bedankt.
Yeah, I don't know why I picked this 300 dev, but no province over 10 dev. I just overestimated my ability to micro in this limited environment with 1 hour. 100 spy networks. This is, I mean, at that point, I thought it was a bad challenge, but this was a good challenge. I don't know if Torier ends up getting it, but this is decent, like pretty easy to get.
Torier.
Okay, this is a free challenge. I should have picked the second, I think. Because yeah, this is pretty much guaranteed. I just have to conquer one Orthodox province, and then I just lose all my land at the end.
Gold mine.
Gold mine, okay. And at this point, like, it's Madagascar or Biz. I pick Biz. Unfortunately,
Okay, so
horses
the
can't
last-
swim, so. So, here I am. Let's see what happens. Oh, I forgot to show you the have 20 forts. That's the X bonus challenge. I thought this was pretty easy. You just build a bunch of forts at the end. But I actually fail this, or I think I fail. Let me delete my markings. And so what's my game plan? My game plan is to go south, right? I want to, well, I was thinking about forming Golden Horde, but I later realized I shouldn't form Golden Horde because the requirements are too tough. So I said, let's go south, try to kill the Georgia area, and then see if I can snipe Biz, and if so, maybe do one war against the Ottomans for reconquest. Okay. So, why do I want to go south? First is for Golden Age. In Age of Discovery, I get... Sorry. In Age of Discovery, one of the objectives is own provinces from 2 continents. I have European provinces. I need an Asian province. Going southeast is pretty reasonable. And I was actually thinking about going east as well through like Kazan and Uzbek and Nogai, but they had a lot of alliances, so I thought it was just not worth it. By the way, I have more things I need to delete. Okay. So,
Uber easy, but
let's see what
So-
happens.
Sorry, that
I
would
think
be-
what I should do is I should just skip ahead, right? So I fight Great Horde. This was a pretty easy war. So the point of Great Horde was because I was still thinking about going east, and there's a fort that I can conquer, so I don't have to build it. And I was, you know, monarch points from raising. And here you see Zlevik is lagging behind. Yeah, so there was just a lot of bad internet issues that day, so I couldn't really play on speed for that much. You know, it's 20 minutes and I've gone through 5 years. This actually bites me in the back later because I budget my time incorrectly. Okay. So I start going south for Orthodox, and oh man, another marker. There you go. Did I delete everything? Hopefully I did. Yeah, so I go for Orthodox provinces and forming Georgia, and also forts.
How
you
much
just
dev
want
is
more
it?
Okay.
Does it need?
I shouldn't like skip ahead like this. I should just like skip ahead in ensembles. Yep, Zlevik is lagging behind, you know, like it's I just can't couldn't play too much. So why did I feed all the Georgian provinces to Samatske? Samatske, I don't know how to pronounce them. It's because I want to release and play as them, go independent, and then form Georgia. So I was giving them all provinces so they have time to core the Georgian requirements. So that last step is fairly quick at the very end. Just totally ditched that. Oops. And here I do the biggest throw of the day. I fight the Ottomans. Why? Well, first of all, I had to. I wanted to get an Asian province. For some reason, I couldn't douse Shirvan. I forgot why. Maybe they were allied to Ottomans, or maybe they were allied to a bunch of other tags. The easiest tag that I found was AQ. AQ was allied to Ottomans, so I knew I had to fight the Ottomans. So I was like, okay, at that point, like, might as well try going for the Biz thing. And I was a bit too stubborn. I spent way too much time trying to fight the Ottomans, and I wanted to get the war over quickly, so I was aggressively sieging mountain forts. And mountains and hordes don't go too well. To be fair, I had a tech lead. At one point, I was tech 6 and Ottomans was tech 5. So I was like, I can push through the mountains, and I couldn't. Partly because I didn't commit enough troops, but also because Ottomans got tech 6 fairly quickly, and I didn't notice that we were on tech parity. So the war just becomes mostly a stalemate, but I do successfully conquer an Asian province. So good on me. That gets me golden era. Okay. Okay, so Torier does get the easy ones, the estate and the spine arcs. These are very easy, or pretty easy. So yeah, good on him for picking the easy ones. So at this point, what did I have? I kind of gave up on the 300 dev, I believe. I still had fully reconquest all cores in mind with this Ottoman war. And I figured I'd be able to get Coptic or Orthodox at the very end, form a different nation. You know, I had this prepped to form Georgia at the very end, and I have 20 forts prepped. Well, prepped in the sense of I'll take all loans and then spam forts at the very end, okay? So in my mind, I had like 11 minutes to sort of do this challenge, the Reconquest all cores. I had these two plus the 20 forts in the bag, in my mind. Okay? But I spend way too much time on this Ottoman war, so I sort of I cut my losses at a certain point. I forgot when, but I cut my losses too late. That's the problem. So at this point, I am planning to build forts. So I'm counting how many forts I need to build. And I also find out around this time that subject forts count, in particular capital forts count. Okay, so I was like, okay, I'll just release a bunch of OPM vassals because each OPM vassal will have a level 1 capital fort, and that counts towards the 20 fort requirement. And so I was just counting. So you see that I'm building a bunch of forts here on the right, and you see that I budgeted roughly 5 minutes for it. Actually, probably a bit more, but yeah, the point is I budgeted some amount of time for it, thinking I can speed 4 through it, but there's a lot of lag, and I was just going back to speed 3 back and forth, you know? Oops, this is at the end. Yeah, like I was trying to get to speed 5, but it didn't work. So I just didn't budget enough time for the forts, and I still do the Coptic flip at the end, or Ortho, whatever, just by releasing a bunch of land. And I couldn't do the release and play as in time. So I just missed out on a bunch of points because I didn't budget my time properly. But actually, here, I saw an interesting comment on YouTube.
12, 14, 15, 16, 17 is here. 14 is here.
Let me just...
Started building, yes, he built, so he's taking it.
Okay, so
really
Zlavek
safe.
is counting the number of forts I
There's a
have.
question from the
Making
chat.
sure.
What's the challenge? So I just picked this is the quest board for both of the players. Of course, you see Torio has 3 quests done, Lambda has 1. And the quest in the middle, the one on the bottom of the screen, it's an extra quest for 2 points. And it's building the force, and that's the quest we are talking about.
One problem that I see with Torier
Yes,
When does he count mine?
calculated.
Okay.
against him.
By the way, if you change to my screen, I think Lambda has it all calculated. He has 13 forts, 14 is here. 2 more it's 6. Oh yeah, see he's releasing subjects to have more forts. That's what's happening. So that's he will be able to take more loans. So let's count it. It's 9 from subjects, right? Trebizond. Count it.
So watch this. He says 9, right? That's because he looks at this number. But this number does not include my capital fort, which is here. And this is a level 1 fort, so I actually have 10 forts at this point.
It's 9 from subjects, right?
And then he does the
Trebizond,
counting.
Samtska. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Is he at 17?
18, 19, plus the one capital fort that he missed. So it's possible I had 20, but I also counted 19, so I don't know what happened. I got this from a YouTube comment. So it's actually possible that I actually had the 20, but I'm not sure because the thing is I gave away these provinces, right? And I feel like the AI Astrahan deleted one fort, which is why I counted 19. So I gave away these provinces too early.
14.
So I let 17 days pass, and then I counted then, and I counted 19. It's possible I miscounted on the spot, and I actually did have 20, and like both Slavic and I miscounted. I don't know, but it's possible I had 20 for a bit. Who knows? But anyway, I don't get the fort one just because I miscounted. Plus, I was sort of rushed for time because I couldn't. I just didn't budget my time properly.
Build fort map mode. Not really. Okay. Bring that challenge.
I flip Coptic at the very end by giving away all my provinces.
16.
And I end with 2 points. Okay, I do release and I want to release and play as Samatsuka. I don't have enough time. 13 seconds left, but I figure I'll try to full annex them, release and play as, and then go independent. But I didn't have enough time. If I had a bit more time, I could have done this for another point, because I'd go independent. I'd form Georgia, form a different nation. So that's what happened. And in the end, here are the standings at this point. Let's see if I can find it. So as you can see, these should be updated, right? But I'm second place, but Toryer's tying me. And I mean, he did beat me in a head-to-head. Like, I feel like he was a very strong player. Corbett's ahead, partly because of the really easy day one that he had. But he's also a great player, so you'll see him keep the lead, essentially. Okay, so let's talk about day 2 next. So here I'm against Clio, I believe. Clio, I'm not sure. I get Hre for the second time. I hate the Hre. It's so boring. But these are all like Hre OPMs. Also, I moved. This was a very stressing time period for me. Like, I had a sort of emergency travel arrangement, and I was trying to like fit stuff in my schedule. So I was moving. That's me and my new setup. So at this point, I suppose I should talk about the picks a bit. So, I mean, these are all Hre OPMs roughly, I think, except East Frisia, who doesn't start in the Hre, but can enter the Hre pretty easily and is geographically like essentially in the Hre. I believe these are all OPMs. I'm not sure if this guy's an OPM off the top of my head, but like the point is they're all miners near the Hre. Okay. So what's on my mind? Honestly, nothing was on my mind. I thought like all these nations are mostly equally bad. I was setting my eyes on Ulm, not because they're good, just because they have the meme value. I think Dithmarschen is also a decently strong pick. I think East Frisia is a decently strong pick. And I also thought Saluzzo might be an interesting pick just because they're in Italy. And, as far as I know, there weren't any challenges that specifically focused around the around Germany, aside from the Hre. And there were some missions that were about Italy. Well, not really Italy, but south. Like, for example, owning Mecca as a Christian. So I thought Saluzzo would be better for these kinds of missions or challenges that were more centered towards the south. So I had these nations in mind. Okay, and I believe none of these sorts of panned out in the bans. So what happens? Okay, so Cleo bans Dithmarschen, who's one of the strongest picks from here, I think. I ban one just because I'm just banning stuff without thinking. So I ban one. Now, I don't ban 2 here just because I'm interested in Ulm for the meme value, so I ban 3, I believe, next. Now, Cleo bans Saluzzo, and then I ban 3. So at this point, there's Ulm, East Frisia. Cleo picks Ulm. And I don't know why, but I pick Nuremberg. I actually don't know why. I feel like East Frisia is also a fine pick. But Nuremberg isn't a bad pick either because they're free city. And free cities are, extra safe just because the AI won't Dow you because they get a stab hit, I think. Yeah, I think they get a stab hit. I don't think the AI ever declares on free cities directly, as long as I don't ally someone and indirectly get attacked. So they're relatively safe. And free cities get a bit of bonuses, right? Like dev cost and stuff. And they start as a republic, so a lot of monarch point generation. Okay, so I don't think Nuremberg was a particularly bad pick. So let's now look at the challenges. Oh, I have cat ears. Long story short, I was visiting a friend who had cat ears. I was pressured by my viewers to wear them. So here's me with cat ears. Don't just don't worry about it, okay? Okay, so here are the challenges. Let's talk about them. So, become an elector in the H3. This is bad, unless you have a scripted way to do it, I think. For non-tributary subjects, I'd say this is like decent. So I'd put like a meh. Own 5 levels of great projects. So this requires clarification. Here, the great projects are so the levels of great projects are actually counted +1, as in level 0 great projects count as 1 level for the purpose of this challenge. So you could own 5 level 0 great projects and you'll complete this. Level 1 great projects count as level 2 and so on. Okay, so this isn't horrible, but it's pretty bad, especially when you start as a weak nation. So for me, this is like pretty bad. Trigger fastening event. This is like horrible. There's just too much RNG, I think. You need to beat the Ottomans at both embracing the Renaissance, easy, and getting 50 prestige, hard. And you also need to own a glass or gems province, which I believe is not so easy. I actually don't know the glass provinces off the top of my head near the HRE, but I don't think there's any, well, at least at this point, I didn't think like there are any glass provinces that I could easily access. 5k ducats, this is actually very easy. I'll explain a bit later. 100 prestige, legitimacy, and power projection. I thought this was meh, or I thought this was like, like not so bad, but this was wrong. I think this is like pretty hard. 100 spy network. Again, I thought this was meh, but I learned that this is pretty good. This is free. Dismantle the HRE. It's not happening. We're HRE OPMs, so this is like a meh. Support nation's independence. I never consider this because this requires you, the AI subject, to declare an independence war. It's really hard to control, in my opinion. So, yeah, I didn't think like I could do that. To be honest, I still don't have a good judgment on how easy this is. I think this is really hard. Move your capital and home trade node. This is pretty easy. You just do a no CB in the borders of Europe and Asia, vassalize, and then conquer that European province, move over to an Asian province, and boom, right? You can get an Asian province pretty easily. Not pretty easily, but okay, this shouldn't be considered free. But like this is, out of like all the challenges, like decent. Okay, I just erased a check mark. I made another check mark. Like a smiley face. So let's see how the picks go.
In the nation first.
I pick
Lambda, I'll
first.
let you pick.
Oh. So I should correct myself. Apparently at this point, I thought this was pretty easy. Oops. Oh, lag. I thought this was pretty easy apparently, so I picked that. Good. Oops. Cleo picks 4 non-tributary subjects. I think there were easier ones. Like this guy's easier and this guy's easier, but okay, she picks that. It's like a mediocre challenge, I think. Like it's doable, not that bad, but I think still a bit on the harder side. Like I wouldn't pick it first. Okay, I picked the move capital and home trade node because I had a game plan.
Not.
Dude, again, I think this is a bad pick, but I've never played around with it. Like, it just relies on an AI, and I wasn't confident that I could do this reliably. So, I don't think this is a good pick, but maybe Cleo had some better sauce. So I pick 5k ducats. Again, 5k ducats is pretty easy. You just take a bunch of loans at the end, and there are like more tricks that you can do to get more loans than you really have any business getting. She picks becomes an elector. I mean, like at this point, like none of the challenges are that good. So honestly, like I don't fault her for picking that, but I think becoming an elector in the HRE is pretty much impossible. Um, unless you have like a scripted way of doing it. But again, like I don't think any of the remaining ones are possible or like easy to do. So like the rest are like whatever. I picked the 100 prestige. You know, it's hard. Okay, I picked dismantle. I didn't really expect to do it, but it's whatever I had, and so on. Okay, so the challenge is own the least number of provinces. Now, I think this was the worst special challenge ever because, I mean, both of us are just going to become opiums at the very end and we satisfy it. Now, at this point, I thought we'd both get 2 points for free. And honestly, like, I wouldn't say this was that horrible in the grand scheme of things, just because I think the challenges we had were pretty difficult. So like I feel like this easy bonus sort of freebie sort of somewhat balanced it. Also, I'm lagging a lot. So I don't think this is like egregious in terms of balance, because I know some people raise the objection that this is too easy, like we're gonna get it no matter what. Now it turns out that this wasn't 2 points, it was actually 1 point. Because apparently for this challenge and some other challenges, if both players get it, we just split the points. So we both got 1 point freebie from this. Okay.
This is one. The game gets.
Okay, so let's see what happens. So I pick Nuremberg. They're just a rando HRE. In my mind, sorry, in my mind, I was gonna get the 100 spy network in 2 rival nations first. Like, I didn't think I had to really do much in the beginning. I just had to like dev up for the 5k ducats and yeah, just do nothing. So I was just speed 4ing, going for the spy network. I get it very quickly, 1447, or maybe even a bit earlier. Unfortunately, this was pretty lucky, I think. Like, I think in standard circumstances, you should expect to spend way more time than this. But now I was going for the 100 prestige. Why? Because I knew I can get the move capital pretty quickly. Like, I didn't need to spend that much effort. 5k ducats, again, I will naturally get at the very end. And dismantle I just gave up on. So I was trying to fish for this. The hardest thing here is the 100 prestige. Power projection isn't that bad. Oh, by the way, this is Cleo's point of view, not mine. Power projection is not that bad because you can just humiliate 3 nations, 3 of your rivals. I'm an OPM, so my rivals are very weak, so it's not that bad. 100 prestige is the hardest. So I was trying to just go for a bunch of wars against small nations and trying to separate piece them by canceling rivals. Canceling rivals is 30 war score for 5 prestige. So 3 cancel rivals, that's 15 prestige. War reps, that's 2. So 17 prestige per 100% war score on some arbitrary nation. So I was thinking that's going to be the key to 100 prestige. Greeded a bit, and I eventually lose. You'll see. Yeah, I go for this war. I don't know why I thought I can win this, but I went for this war and I get full annexed. Or I was about to get full annexed, so I restart. Yeah, you can see that here. Oh, by the way, when you 1444 restart, your challenges get reset. So you can't like throw your country to go for a challenge and then start from 1444 again. Okay, but in my mind, like I thought restarting was fine because the spy network was easy, right? In this timeline, I got pretty unlucky, so I wasn't able to get this really quickly. So it took me quite a while, but I eventually get it. Yep, I eventually got it. Took way too long. I'm not sure if this is when I actually got it, though. I'm sure I got it a bit earlier. But the point is, it took way too long, and I also learned my lesson, like 100 prestige is not happening. So I focused on moving capital and 5k ducats, and also the least number of provinces at the very end. So what do? I no CB Gazikamuk, I believe. They have a European province, so I seized that. Dagestan, I think. No, I believe I seized the province above that. Yeah, I seized Tarki. I believe Shirvan actually owned Dagestan. They took it from Gazikamuk, I believe. So I dowed Shirvan and conquered Shirvan. This is an Asian province. So now my goal is to move my capital here, which will also move my trade node. Okay, but before that, let's see if I show. Before that, I spam loans. So what's the plan with loans? Okay, first of all, some points to mention. My pen is not very responsive. So first of all, how do loans work? Essentially, the idea is that your interest cannot exceed your total income. That's the rough idea. Not actually true. Like, for example, spoils of war doesn't count. Even though it'll count for total income, it doesn't count for a loan. And it actually doesn't look at interest, but your expected interest. The expected interest is based on your loan size. This number is just dependent on your development. It's your development over 2, but the idea is that it scales over, well, it's development over 2 times trade efficiency from tech. But the idea is that it scales linearly with respect to your current development. Higher development, the higher the loan size. And the expected amount of interest from this loan size. What does this mean? This means that, for example, if you had taken a bunch of loans when you're small, like say 2 ducat loans back when you're in OPM, and then your development rises, then even though your interest will be quite low because you maybe have like 50 small loans, the game thinks you're at your loan cap because the game thinks you can only take 50 loans by calculating the amount of loans you can take based on your current loan size. Okay, this is a very key fact to think about. Okay, the other thing is since it's about your expected interest, your interest per annum matters. I believe my interest per my annum at this point is like, I don't know, like 3.1 or something, or 3.2 or whatever. There's a burger privilege that gives 0.5 minus 0.5 interest per annum at the expense of 5% all power cost. So I just plop it in at the end. And there's also another one that gives up to minus 0.5 based on estate loyalty. I don't think I had 100% loyalty, but oh, you can see it, 67. So it's like 3.3 or something, I don't know. So I add those 2 privileges. This also increases the number of loans I can get. Obviously, increasing my income, like this, also helps. So I dev push the hell out of my capital, expanded infrastructure, built buildings and stuff. Okay. So, what do? You'll see me just spam loans.
And
Yeah, but the base, I think it won't
Okay, at this point, I hit my loan cap. So Zlevik and Ludi are rightfully worried that I might not be able to get the 5k ducats.
be enough. Yeah, so here's 4.3k now. Oh,
So what do? I give away my provinces, right? Remember, I initially had Tarki as a province. So what does giving away provinces do? It reduces my development. So it reduces my loan size, right? And remember, I mentioned that the game calculates the number of loans you can take based on your expected amount of loans based on your current loan size. So by lowering my own development, I actually increase the number of loans I can take just because my individual loans are smaller now. And my income hasn't really changed because Tarki and all these are like very high autonomy, wrong religion. They're useless provinces in terms of income. So my income didn't change much, but my individual loan sizes decreased a lot, so I can take more loans. That's the idea. So you see that after giving away the provinces,
He's
Okay.
busy here. He's not even taking care of that.
I can take more loans. Actually, I
So
need to wait like a
if he
few
wants
days,
to
I
take the
think.
loans first, I mean, once he has 5k, he's gonna try abandoning his capital in Europe.
Yeah. So now my loan size changed. I can take more loans. I don't know why I was able to take that one extra loan. Maybe some income update happened or something when I gave away a province. I forgot to spam the base. I do that
And
too.
move it to
And then I spam more
Asia.
loans, I think.
Yeah, with the base it's 4.8k. It's not enough,
Oh,
but he still has points. He just if he develops the capital a bit more.
There you go, 5k. I could have played this game with the I could have lost the other province as well. So like, I had 5k in the bag, and I didn't even exploit
Oh, yeah,
tax.
of the loans.
there you go.
So he gave away the provinces in Asia to get a higher loan cap. That's the
Slavic
big brain move,
notices.
guys.
That's smart. That's
That,
smart.
that we talked about a bit earlier, right?
Yeah, Slavic notices. So that's what happened. Also, for some reason, my shortcuts aren't working, which is really bugging me. Like, I can't press my right arrow. Anyway, so. Now what? Now I gotta move my capital to Shirvan. You can't manually move your capital as the HRE. So what do I do while you're in the HRE? So what I do, I just declare on a random dude and give away my province.
150 from Nuremberg alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually wanted me to release Kazakumuk as well. No problem. So I did that. And then I forced my capital to move.
He pulled everything that he could so he can get the 5k. That's nice.
Yeah, and we can easy. Can you check?
And there we go. That's what happened. Actually, my capital was in Dagestan. I then accepted rebel demands, which gave away this province to Gazikamuk and moved my capital to Shirvan. That was the last minute thing I did. Initially, I was just planning to core Shirvan and then move it manually, but that also worked. So I just used rebels to lose my province. And that's it. I had 4 points. Sorry, I had 5 points. Or so I thought, right? I had a 100% network, 5k ducats, move your capital in home trade node, and the bonus quest. But I had 4 because this point actually got split by some ruling. So I would say overall this was a solid day given what I had. Like, I think the challenges weren't unreasonable, but they were definitely like a bit on the hard side. Like, I wouldn't have expected myself to get 7 points, for example. Okay. And here are the standings.
It was the most of the
Yeah, check out.
missing and clear.
Okay, so at this point, I'm like the clear top second place alongside. So Corbin and I are like the clear top runners at this point. Toyer unfortunately missed this day, which is why he got 0. But I really think he was a very promising contender. Like, he might have been able to shoot up with me, and like maybe the second place would have been more competitive. Okay, so day 4. Oh, don't mind me. That's my Maple Story log. Yep, I am extremely unlucky in like pretty much every metric, but we don't talk about that. Well, now we talk about it. Okay, so this is day 4. I get HRE. Well, not really HRE, but I get Europe again. I hate playing in this area. So much AE and stuff. Anyway, so what's on my mind? Right? To be honest, nothing was on my mind. Like, I was really busy around this time. So I didn't really have the mental capacity to think too hard. But so in my mind, there were some strong picks. Okay, Teutonic Order I think was a pretty strong pick. Livonian Order I think is a decent pick as well. Teutonic Order is individually stronger, but they have to deal with Poland. Like, Poland absolutely hates the Teutonic Order, so they need to secure alliances quick. I think Scotland was also decent. Like, I saw this lineup and I'm like, maybe there's going to be a stack wipe English troops, right? And at that point, I knew that I just had to stack wipe English troops. I didn't have to like fully kill them. Scotland would be a decent nation for that. And they're also like reasonably strong in the region, except for England. But England just takes one easy war. One difficult war. Once you do that, like, it's easy. Okay. I think Ireland is bad. Just an OPM. Like, if you're gonna pick Ireland, might as well pick Scotland, I felt like. I thought Norway was an interesting pick because, well, they're individually strong. Excuse me. And a subject start isn't that bad, I think, because you get support for independence. So you get a bunch of really strong allies to fight for you in that initial war and maybe use in later wars. So I think Norway was a decent pick. Finland, I don't know. Like, I don't think Finland's a good pick. I don't even know how you would play as Finland. Wait, Sweden starts with Finland owned, right? And I don't think Sweden can release and play as a subject. Or is Finland? Wait, I don't know how the recent patches work. Anyway, yeah, so I guess that was on my mind. Like there were three like good picks: Scotland, Teutonic, Livonian, and Norway. And Norway meh. I thought the rest were like all meh picks. So let's see how the bans went.
Did it
Yes.
end up?
So to
So I guess Montu is the one banning first, or picking
Mm.
first. So Montu bans Norway. Okay.
Ban Scott.
I ban Holstein. So I was just banning the weak picks, I think, at this point.
banning the easiest one.
Mm.
Okay, Montu bans Scotland. So at this point, in my mind, I want to leave two strong nations, right? Because Montu picks first, and then I pick. So I want to leave two strong nations. So I think, what do I ban? Yeah, I just banned Finland. Whatever. So in my mind, I was going to pick Livonian or Teutonic Order, depending on what Montu picks.
Is going.
But Montu picks an HRA nation. I think this is a fairly bad pick. Like, they're not very strong. And there aren't any challenges that are particularly advantageous by starting in the HRE. There's the Elector one, but like being an Elector is really hard. Okay, so in my mind, it was Teutonic Order. I was going to pick Teutonic Order, but... Wait, you said Livonian Order? Oh.
Lambda. Is it Livonian Order?
Yeah, Zlevik suggested Livonian Order for some reason. And to be honest, I didn't have a strong preference between Livonian Order and Teutonic Order. I still thought Teutonic Order was like stronger though. Like, yeah, there's the Poland thing, but like I felt like they're just overall in a better position. They're closer to England. They have a better economy. You know. But Zlevik said Livonian Order, so I just went along with the meme. So I picked Livonian Order. I don't know. I think this was a crappy decision overall, but not horrible. So let's look at the challenges.
It better be a good name.
Okay. So flip Coptic or Orthodox. This is easy for me. Yikes. This is easy for me. I'm very close to Orthodox. On the other hand, it's very hard for Montu. So one thing to consider is that like he's less incentivized to pick it compared to me. So if there are more contentious picks, I should like focus on that. Golden Age, very easy, as I mentioned. 5k ducats, very easy. And stack wipe in England army, I think this is like meh. Oh, I forgot to mention they actually slightly changed the ruling such that the stack wipe has to be bigger than 5k. Okay. And I believe the rest were really hard in my mind. Like 5 merchants, pretty hard. Like you have to do TCs or get trade ideas plus something else. I don't know. This felt really hard to me. Win 3 trade wars using only navy. This also felt hard. I'm not particularly like a naval nation, and I also didn't really know how trade wars worked. So never tech up. This I thought was pretty interesting. I didn't really take it too seriously because I don't know. I was trying to have fun in the game, and I feel like never teching up is a recipe for not having fun because it means that you do the easy, you get for the easy challenges that don't require much conquering out of the way, and then you just do nothing. So I think like in hindsight, this was a pretty good pick, but I didn't really like it just for the fun factor. Okay, Radical Reforms. I thought it was meh because it's RNG, blah blah. But honestly, in hindsight, this is pretty good. The mean time to happen is like 10 years or something, and you get to play like 30 years or so if you speed 4. So the probability of getting this is like, I don't know, like 87.5% or something. So this is a pretty reasonable event to go for. So 120 tradition, I think this is really hard. And support rebels, I think this is really hard. And so what do I pick? Let's see.
What was that? You
Golden Age. Again, it's a free one. I pick it. So I don't know why Montu picks 5 merchants. I think this is very difficult for Mecklenburg, but I'm not confident in that. I think it's hard though. 5k ducats, again, it's an easy one. Again, he picks the difficult ones in my opinion. So I had a fairly free pick phase. Okay, so I picked the 3 easy ones that I mentioned. Okay, and at this point, I believe I should have gone for Radical Reforms, but I really overestimated how the RNG factor of Radical Reforms. I thought it was like a 50-50-ish type of thing. So I do stack wipe. Oh no, I do support rebels. Interesting. I actually don't know why I do that. Maybe in my mind I thought like I could just make it work compared to stack wipe English. I think stack wipe English was easier. Actually, Radical Reforms was the easiest. Okay, he picks Never Tech Up. So why don't I do Radical Reforms? I don't know. I do stack wipe English. Whatever. Okay. And the bonus is Kill Denmark. So what was on my mind at this point? So in my mind, actually, let's I'm gonna play a bit just to see all the challenges in one place. So in my mind, Orthodox flip is very easy. I just have to conquer one Orthodox province from Novgorod or something, right? Anyone, it doesn't matter. Actually, it turns out I flipped through another means later. Fire Golden Age, again, easy. 5k ducats, very easy. Oh, you don't see the bottom right challenge. Unfortunate. That's it. I just realized that I've been blocking. Oh well. I'm not gonna bother fine. I don't know. I feel like no matter where I reposition myself, I'm gonna block something. But yeah, 5k ducats is pretty easy. That's the bottom right one. And I thought going for Denmark, killing Denmark is the next easiest option just because it's 2 points. I believe it's 2 wars. And I thought it was doable, especially now that Sweden tends to declare independence and stuff. So we'll see what happens. Okay, first of all, I start supporting rebels on Novgorod. And it doesn't work. As I expected. Like, I thought this was really hard. I still think this is really hard, even though I actually did end up getting it. Okay. And then I fight Riga plus Scotland. So I'm trying to get a foothold to fight Denmark. Okay. So I believe I have 1444 at this point because I messed up something. I forgot. But anyway, I tried the support rebels. It didn't work. I was able to get a Muscovy alliance, and I just wanted to go for humiliate for the Golden Age. So I gave stuff to Muscovy so I don't make them upset, and I humiliated. I didn't take an Orthodox province here. I think I could have, but I decided to flip through another way. Okay. So here, bad RNG struck me. So I ate Gotland. I was ready to dow Denmark. Unfortunately, Denmark allied Muscovy, and Sweden did not declare independence. So like both variables just went horribly wrong. So the only way I had out of this was to dow Teutonic Order and don't co-belligerent Denmark. Teutonic Order was allied to Denmark, so at least I won't have to deal with Muscovy, right? And I had Poland as an ally, so I could get him. I could hopefully get him. So start the war. At first it was going decently well. Unfortunately, my boats were overwhelmed. I was spamming galleys, but even then I couldn't beat their combined navy. Very unfortunate. Again, like, if Denmark didn't get that Muscovy alliance, I think Sweden would have declared independence, and this would have been pretty easy. But I fight the war, and Poland pieces out, so I just cut my losses, and I'm done. So at this point, killing Denmark is off the table for me. So I give up on killing Denmark, and I still have 15 minutes. I know Golden Age is easy, Orthodox is easy, and the 5k ducats, which you can't see, is easy. So I'm just trying to go for a stack wipe in English army at this point. I'm like, maybe I can make it work. Spam loans. Pre-land my troops on yeah. I pre-land my troops on Scotland, I ally Scotland, and I no CB England. Unfortunately, like, I just don't get a good opportunity to stack wipe him. Like, he has all his troops in one go. I actually tried to block them by letting them occupy this fort. Right, so I thought I can block them. I actually get the fort. And here, like, oh, actually, siege this, I believe, to build a merc. But I don't think I actually had a merc to build. So I give up on that. And yeah, I first kill Portugal. Keep in mind at this point, I believe I have a Tech 6 lead on England. England's still Tech 5 and I'm Tech 6. But yeah, I saw that England was actually I'll show you. What happened? Yeah, I believe that I saw that England was actually able to leave this fort. I don't know if the VODs show that, but England was able to go through this fort. I don't know how zone of control works. Oh, I saw Portugal go through. So I'm like, okay, I just can't stack wipe them. So I cut my losses. Whatever. And at this point, I just go for the other 4 missions that I could have gone for. So what do? I give away my land. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, I also get to support rebels. I forgot to mention that. I lucked out. Basically, Novgorod had a noble rebel stack. Actually, they get that by events, so I believe this is fairly reliable in this particular setup. So I support rebels on nobles, and I truce break Novgorod. Okay, that gives me this one. Now I spam loans, do the whole like release, lose provinces to lower my dev strat, and I can get 5k easily. I get Golden Era. Okay, that's 3. Now I just need to flip Coptic or Orthodox. I don't have an Orthodox province, so I just make myself small, 100% an Orthodox nation, and force convert. Maybe you can see me piecing over. But basically the idea is that you offer tribute here. Once you have 100%, they'll be forced to accept anything, and then you force religion on yourself. So you become Orthodox. Unfortunately, my ally Muscovy just fucking full annexes him. I had 2 minutes left. I'm panicking. I'm like, oh, who do I declare on? Who do I declare on, right? I'm just searching for any simple Orthodox nations that I can 100% in 2 minutes. I can't find it. I say, fuck it. I'm going to truce break Novgorod. Right. And then Muscovy. Oh. Muscovy declares war on Novgorod. So I'm just like, oh, this is over. But thankfully, Thankfully Muscovy pieces out of Novgorod. and leaves me with a 2-province Novgorod. Yeah, here. So I was able to force religion on myself. That was really close. I was kind of lucky there, or I was unlucky there, but lucked out at the end. Chat demanded cat ears. I put it back on, whatever. And then here are the points at that point. Again, like the first and second were pretty much decided at this point. Unless something really weird happened. Okay, so that's day 4. Let's talk about day 5. So this is a head-to-head against Corbett. Notice that so far I've only lost to Torier, and I mentioned I've only lost to Torier. Actually, I lost to Corbett, but so if you look at the standings at this point, we were the last ones to play, right? And nobody catched up to us. So like this game really didn't matter. Like we could have done anything. I could have gone 0 points and I'd still be second place. So I wanted to make the Pope Orthodox or Sunni or Orthodox on stream. That was my entire goal. I did not plan to like play the challenges seriously. Right? I had cat ears because Corbett DM'd me and said we need cat ears. And so here are the picks. They weren't great for heading to the Pope, but Chagatai was a good pick, right? I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick Chagatai and let's have fun, right? Mr. Corbett, I don't like having fun here. Bans all the hordes. So like I was just stubborn at this point. I'm like, I'm gonna pick calm and become a horde just for the sake of raising my middle finger at Corbett. By the way, for the record, like Corbett and I are on good terms. But I was rightfully slightly salty that he banned all the hordes when the outcome of this match didn't matter. But yeah, so I picked calm. I'm like, I'm gonna become a horde and I'm gonna flip the Pope to Sunni. Right? These were the challenges, but again, I really did not care about the challenges. It's like this is just a total troll run. Okay. And then this just went horribly. Like I couldn't even become a horde in time. Like it's 16 minutes in and I haven't become a horde. Like yeah, I'm not. And yeah, and I believe like when there were like 7 minutes left, I'm like, okay, I should at least get 1 point not to embarrass myself. So I think I got the 5 tributary subjects. But yeah, this was just like a total like throw match. I didn't really fight at all. I was just trying to flip the Pope and have fun. But yeah, so technically Corbett did beat me in a head-to-head. But here's how it ended up.
The goal, so
You know,
good.
I got 1 point. Okay, and then finals. I thought finals was really interesting. Okay. Here's game 1 of the finals. We're playing majors. There's Venice. Venice lets me do the Pope shenanigans, but I figured I shouldn't throw my first game, even though maybe I should have in hindsight. But anyway. So, in my mind, there were 2 really good picks. There's Aragon, Poland. I think these were the solid picks. They're just very strong, and I think having subjects really help with war micro in these games. I think France is also good, but there's a challenge called France does not exist, which means killing France, and I figure they're not very good for killing France because you can't really form any nations because you're in endgame tag, so you have to release and play as at the very end. But yeah, I think France was also good. I just thought they're slightly below Aragon and Poland. But anyway, the bans were, let's see, so I picked first. So I was trying to put myself in a situation where I can pick either of these 2, right? So what happens?
Okay, let's.
I shouldn't play. I should just skip ahead. Okay, I banned Denmark. Just a meme. Like, I'm just trying to sort of test Corbett to see where he goes. Corbett bans Teutonic Order. So at this point, we're seeing that we're just banning the weak nations. So I also go through, ban Milan. And at this point, I was happy with just taking Aragon and Corbett taking Poland or something. And I pick Aragon. Corb actually picks France. I thought Poland was better, but I don't know. France is also a good pick. So now let's talk about the challenges. Okay, so this one is horrible. Control and dev ohm to 50. Like, this is just, like, if you do this, you have to focus everything on this. Okay, have your pool of manpower. This is a trivial mission, right? This is like trivial AF. You just have to like exploit mil dev or like raise autonomy to lower your max manpower, queue up troops to fake your manpower. Like, there's so many ways to do this. I don't know why this is even a challenge. This is trivial. 3 wars, 0 manpower is also pretty trivial. Like, you can do it at the end or at any point. I'd say highest trade power in 3 nodes as our nations is decent. Like, we're all playing strong nations, so it's not that bad. Fully reconquest all cores, I think this is meh. I mean, we're playing strong nations, but A, we have to fight the Ottomans, and B, this does not really like lead you to other missions, I think. All right, have a national disaster fire. This is actually really easy. I'll show you how. You just trigger Peasants' War and accept demands. Dismantle the HRE. I think this was like decent, right? I thought this was decent, but I think this is like meh. Like, I thought it was decent because we're strong, but it turns out to be meh because it still relies on like alliance RNG. Like, you want to be able to ally all the electors or be able to like put like the remaining electors that you couldn't ally plus Austria in 1 war, which is not so easy to do. Like, yeah, like you need some restarts, I feel like, to do this. Win a coalition war, I think this is really hard. Own 5 levels of great projects. I think this is like decent because we're big. And be at max gov cap, I think this is like pretty easy. But I actually thought this was harder than I thought. Or I thought this was harder than I currently think right now, if that makes sense. So anyway, let's see what happens. Corbett picks the challenges first, which means that I'm essentially forced to pick 7, right? Assuming Corbett also has a similar thought process as I do. And I believe that's actually what happens. Oops. Ah. Okay, so Corbett picks. Have your period. Yeah, this is like the trivial one. I really don't think this should be a challenge. This is so free. 3 wars Empire. This is like the next freest one, I think. He picks win a coalition war. I don't think this is a smart choice. Like, I think this is the easier choice. But to be fair, like, you have to know how to do this. Like, maybe he didn't know how to, like, the trick with the peasant war. Okay, he picks max gov cap. I think this is a pretty good challenge. I underestimate the value of this, but even in hindsight, like, I think these 2 are the better picks anyway. So him getting this is like fine. Okay, trade power. Yeah, I think this was the best pick. Like, I'm Aragon. It's not that hard for me to get 3 trade nodes on my side. Okay, he does 5 levels of great projects. I think this is decent. Like, in hindsight, I think I should pick this. Well, no. I think this is better. So what's left? Dismantle or Reconquest? Or this. But, like, nobody's going to pick this. So I thought, okay, let's dismantle. I don't know if this was the right choice. Maybe this one was easier. I don't know. But Corbett picks that, and I'm forced to do this throwaway mission. So, yeah, like, pick order kind of put me at a disadvantage. But I think overall I was in a decent spot to win. And in fact, this is the special bonus. Austria does not exist. I think I'm slightly better suited to fully annex Austria. Actually, I don't know. He was playing France. I think he also had an equal shot at it. But so yeah, I would say challenges were mostly balanced. Maybe I have a slight advantage. I don't know. So we play. So what is my plan? My plan is I'll do the dismantle HRE thing, or I'll aim for it. So I'm going to ally a bunch of electors and sort of wait for favors. Okay. 3 wars, 0 manpower, I can pretty much do at any point. But I think I ended up doing it earlier just to get out of the way. National Disaster Fire, I can do at the very end. I'll talk about later. Dismantle, I talked about it. Control and Dev Ohm, I'm not doing that. And this one you can't see is have highest trade power in 3 trade nodes. Okay. I start with Valentia or whatever. So I just need 2 more. What do I pick? Safi and Tunis. Why? I just have to be at war with them and fully occupy them. Then I have the highest trade power in both of these nodes. So I get 3. And these are wars I can sort of win by myself. And during that time, I could let favors tick and also focus on diplomacy to go for the dismantle HRE, plus ideally kill Austria. So I do that. I got a fairly early Iberian winning, very lucky. Unfortunately, AI Castile was pretty useless. I'm fishing for the right HRE alliances and it doesn't work out. But yeah, so I actually get the 3 wars, 0 manpower fairly early on. I figured I'd just do it at that point. I don't know where I actually do it or if it shows it. But basically, you know, I was fighting the North African dudes. And then I just queued up a bunch of troops to fake myself to be 0 manpower. And then I think I declared on 1 dummy tag, like Provence or something, to get 3 wars. So I completed that. The 3 trade nodes I got by occupying Morocco, Tlemcen, and Tunis. And now at this point, I'm focusing on HRE stuff, dismantling the HRE. Right? Like I can do the national disaster at the very end. So I've been fishing for alliances. I couldn't find one. So I just declare on Austria directly. Oops. I'm not sure if these VODs show it. Yeah, you see me declare on Austria. I believe this was a no CB. So I'm already on the edges of a coalition at this point. But basically, I give land to Bohemia, right? And then I release a vassal here. And then my next goal is to reconquest plus release Tyrol. But unfortunately, bad RNG strikes. Really bad RNG strikes. Brandenburg becomes the emperor. You might think, oh, isn't that fine? No, because that means that I now have to fight Brandenburg and all its allies, which included Poland. Okay, and by the way, I believe there was a comment by the casters. Yeah, so you see me declare a no CB on Lithuania. And people were confused about that. Let's see if I can find a clip of them being confused.
So he is right now at almost 100%. He is at...
Wait a second. Why is he at war with Lithuania? What's that war about?
Yeah, so they wondered why. That's because Brandenburg was allied to Poland. And if I were to declare an Austria at this point, I'd pull in the Emperor, Brandenburg, Poland, and all that. And fighting that war is ridiculously hard. So I figured I'd pull Poland in a war, separate war against Lithuania. And I'd just piece out Lithuania by like losing Castile or something. So I'd only have to fight Brandenburg and his other small allies. That was my thought process. And at this point I piece out because Lithuania is about to wipe me. I couldn't find a great peace deal though. Like Lithuania really wanted me to release them, so unfortunately I had to release Styria. I was like, maybe I still have a chance at killing Austria. And I give up at a certain point. Why do I give up? I wish I can show it to you. I don't think these VODs show it, but I give up because Brandenburg dies. The Emperor of Brandenburg's monarch dies, and Poland becomes the next HRE, Holy Roman Empire. So I'm like, I can't win another war against Austria with Poland and all its allies. Like, I got really fucked by RNG here. So I couldn't kill Austria, and I had to cut my losses and go for the national disaster. So how do I do it? Um, Basically, I need to have low stab and low manpower. You can artificially make your manpower low by queuing up troops. I also bankrupted to make the ticking go faster because I didn't have enough time. Being bankrupt increases the ticking rate for
Lambda.
the peasant war disaster. So I'll just play the last. Wait, I'll just play the last however many seconds. Let's just play the last minute.
He should go bankrupt though, because that's gonna make it faster to trigger. Bankruptcy gives an extra +2.
Yeah.
Um,
But how do you end it?
yeah, that's a good question there. Oof. He doesn't have the mana points to end it. Minus 60. Yeah, I think it's GG on this run for him.
And Revan is just supporting independence of Castile.
Yeah. Yep. I think that the Castilian Independence War is around the corner. I like that he's still in it though. Like he's not giving up till the last second. He's trying to get the war and get it over with.
Yeah.
There we go. We have the disaster. Let's see how we finish this now.
Ah, he just accepted the demands.
Oh, that's big brain.
I forgot actually.
So yeah, you just have to accept demands and you're out of the disaster. You don't even have to fight it. So yeah, this disaster thing is pretty easy to do. So I got 3 points. Corbett gets 4, so I lose the first round. Does it show? I don't know if it shows. Oh, there you go. So I lost. I really think I could have gone the Austria does not exist though. If I didn't get really unlucky with just back-to-back emperor deaths. Like if Austria was still the emperor, like truce breaking him to death would have been so easy. But yeah, unfortunate. So I lost this one. Okay, next one. I honestly think this was the best single game of draft. Like I thought the challenges were all really good, and I really liked the bonus challenge. So let's just talk about this. So the theme is India. So one of the challenges is own all of Maldives and Sri Lanka. And I figure given these nations, like that's going to be one of the challenges. So I'm really eyeing for Vijayanagar, right? They have easy access to Sri Lanka and Maldives. Plus they're like the strongest nation here. So like Vijayanagar is like by far the best pick, I think. So this is like number 1. And I think close ties are like Bakhmanis and Jampur. I think these are like the next big picks. I also think Bengal is a very strong pick. They're not particularly like super strong early, but they have a very good economy and they have like a very nice expansion path because they can go west to Orissa. They can go north and east, so they can spread out aid well, depending on what kind of challenges there are. And yeah, I think the rest are meh. So really, it's just a matter of like what the initial bans go, right? Like we might commit to banning all the majors, in which case I have to sort of hop in. But actually, that's not true because I pick first. So I have full control over like the first pick, right? So I'm trying to leave Vijayanagar open because as long as Vijayanagar is open, then that's by far the best pick. So let's see how the bans go. So like from here, I'm actually taking the bans seriously. Oops. So I banned Bengal. Why is that? There are 4 good picks, right? And the worst case scenario is we use all 4 of our bans to ban all 4 of them. But keep in mind, I have 1 more ban at reserve, so I can choose not to ban a major. It really depends on what Corbett bans, right? So Corbett bans, I believe, Bakhmanis. Let's see. Oh no, they ban Orissa. So he's actually leaving the strong nations. So at this point, let's think about the sequence, right? I have one ban, Corbett has one ban, and then I pick. Right? So I'm going to ban one OP nation. Actually, is that what I do? I think I ban Bachmanis, yeah. I ban one OP nation, and now Corbett's left with a choice, right? He either bans Vijanagar, which is the stronger of the two, and gives me Jampur, or he, you know, bans something else and grabs Jampur for himself. So, like, I really won this ban. Like, I think Corbett banning Orissa was a big mistake. What he should have done was he should have banned one of these three nations. He should have just banned Vijanagar. And at this point, there's Jampur and Bachmanis, and I wouldn't be able to ban any of these, right? Because, I mean, I could, but it's pointless for me to ban any of these. So we'd essentially split on Bachmanis versus Jampur. But he wasted a ban on Orissa. So I was able to force him in the situation where he either has to ban Vijanagar and gives me Jampur, or, you know, we split on Vijanagar and Jampur, and I would be winning here for sure. So he just bans whatever and accepts a split. I take Vijanagar, and he takes Jampur. So I won the pick so far. And my gamble paid off, or my, not gamble, but like my thinking paid off. One of the available challenges is Sri Lanka and Maldives. This is super easy as Vijanagar, not so easy as Jampur. So for me, the priority of this is high, but for Corbett, it's kind of low. Like the only reason he picked this challenge is to deny me the point. So my priority for this challenge is like somewhere in the middle. Like it's not a first pick for me, just because I know Corbett doesn't want it badly. But it's not a last pick because Corbett can decide that he wants to sort of grief me. He wants to like sacrifice his own challenge to make me not get a point. Okay, so what are their challenges? 5k ducats, super easy, especially as like a big nation. National disaster, easy. Radical reforms, again, like at this point I shift my opinion. I thought radical reforms was pretty good. I don't think it's free, but it's easy. For missions, I think that's free. Spy network, I think this is pretty good as well. 50k manpower, I think is like good just because we're playing big nations. Release as a vassal nation, I think this is pretty easy as well. Promises with 4 different religions. So this one, yeah, I don't know. For me, it's a bit hard, right? I don't have access to like Tibet and stuff. As Jampur, Corbett has access to this. So for Corbett, it's easy. For me, it's like meh. It's doable, but not great. And 5 merchants, it's like meh. So let's see how the picks go. Corbett picks first, remember?
Which is 5 challenges just now.
Okay, Corbett does 100 spy network and 2 rivals. It's not what I would have picked first, but it's a pretty easy and good one. Okay, I do 5k ducats, easy one. He does 4 missions, I think. Yeah, easy one. I do national disaster, I assume. Oh no, I do radical reforms, interesting. I think I should have done national disaster, but I pick radical reforms. Not a bad pick, I think. Again, I'm keeping the Sri Lanka and Maldives open still, because in my mind, Corbett still has better challenges to go for. Like if he griefs me by going this, then I get a easy or free challenge. And I think I overall come ahead. He does own promises of 4 different religions. That's a good pick for him, meh for me. And then I do national disaster, right? So at this point, Corbett could grief me, but I do think 50k manpower is like a pretty free mission for me. So I figured I'd take the gamble, right? He picks 50k manpower, I take Sri Lanka. Because the remaining 2 are kind of meh. Well, I think release as a vassal is still decently doable. It's just kind of annoying to do when you start as a big nation, right? Because you're gonna expand, do stuff, and then you need to spend a lot of time like feeding back land and like shrinking your nation so you can do the independence war quicker. But I think this is still a good pick. But yeah, I figured like if I do this, then he'll probably grief me by picking Sri Lanka and Maldives because 5 merchants is hard. So he picks that, release of the vassal nation, and I'm forced to take 5 merchants. Okay. This is a unique challenge. Own the most provinces. I think that's a very interesting challenge. And of course, I think I sort of won ahead just because Vijayanagar starts with more provinces. But keep in mind, Jampur has a lot more like easy provinces to conquer. Like Tibet is very diplomatically isolated, so the wars are free, and he gets a bunch of provinces with fairly little AE. I think like Northeast India is also fairly free, and you can form Delhi and get a bunch of cores and annex Sirhind as well. So I think it's roughly balanced. Like Vijayanagar starts with more provinces, yeah, but I think Jampur can conquer more compared to Vijayanagar. So, I thought my missions were pretty good, honestly. Like I thought I won this pick pretty hard, just because I got Jampur, not Jampur, I got Vijayanagar. So, let's see what happens.
Good luck.
Oops. So, what's on my mind? I know I can do national disaster at the very end, right? Same idea of Aragon. I know I can do Sri Lanka and Maldives at any point, but I start with going for that. 5 merchants, at this point I'm confused. Like, I know there's a government reform to get me 1 merchant. 3. Then what, right? Like, go trade ideas. How do I do TCs? I was thinking about that. 5k ducats is free, and the one you can't see is fire radical reform. So this one I just, get the advisor and just hope I get it. So I'm trying my best not to pause here at all just because of the radical reforms thing. So, I'm just like really playing the way you're supposed to. I think like pretty much no pauses, doing a lot of micro. And I can get away with it as Vijayanagar just because I'm a very strong nation. So I'm just getting the easy to annex tags here just to grow, own the most number of provinces, and also grow my economy, right? I also start conquering Sri Lanka and the Maldives. So around this point, after conquering Maldives, I realized that Maldives is actually TCable, which means that it's in a different subcontinent. So I'm like, oh, that's how I'm gonna get 5 merchants. I'm gonna move my capital to Maldives at the very end, and then just TC my land to get merchants. So I actually had 5 merchants in the back of my mind at this point. Like I was like, oh, I can do this. So really, like at this point, it's just mostly like standard conquering. I generally go for low dev provinces just because I want to own the most number of provinces. Um, I'm gonna get the 5k ducats, which you can't see pretty easily. National disaster I can get at the very end, and 5 merchants. I feel like I'm on pace. Okay, so maybe I should talk about the merchants. I actually end up going trade ideas. I don't know if it shows me taking trade ideas. Let's see, I have 3 merchants. I believe I took trade ideas then. Yeah, I don't know if it shows me taking it, but I picked trade ideas because I was progressing at a much faster pace than I expected. It's already 1468. I have 20 minutes. So I'm like, oh, I can actually just go trade ideas. So I have like less things to worry about, fewer things to worry about, and none of the idea groups really offer me much anyway. So I figured I'd just go trade ideas, whatever. It just makes the final TC micro slightly easier and less stress. So I do that. No. Oh yeah, okay. And then like it's approaching the end, right? I own Sri Lanka radical reforms. There are 20 minutes left. So at a certain point, I just take max loans. Do I do it here? Nope. I believe I think about taking max loans soonish though. Yeah, I take max loans with 13 minutes left. I have 12k ducats.
Things.
Sorry, 13k
That's
ducats.
nice.
So like, you know, like I'm not at all worried about being bankrupt. So I just took maximums and I get the 5k ducats. Okay, and then no, oh boy. And then do I show the disaster again? I don't know. They're mostly focusing on Corbett, I guess. But yeah, I actually had Civil War ticking. I was planning to just do Civil War, but in the end, I decided to do Peasant War just because I wasn't too familiar with how the Civil War works. Like, for example, you can't immediately accept demands. So I was like, okay, I'll just do Peasant War. So I just opted for Peasants War. So I got out of Civil War by spamming Strength in Government to raise my legitimacy. And then, yeah. And that's that. I actually got through Peasants War normally, just because I didn't want to accept rebel demands since I figured I could spend some time conquering more, and I didn't want to lose my economy. I don't think this was a really good decision to do, but I did it anyway, and I didn't really get punished. So, Peasants War, I actually fought this time. I didn't accept demands. Again, like, I think I should have just accepted demands. Like, my country would have been strong enough, like, I have enough money to just fight through, even after my autonomy gets raised from... I get through, and... I'm trying to get out of the Peasant War the legitimate way, so to speak. I need to get to 1 stab. So, as per usual, I'm, like, super close. Here, you can see, you can watch.
He needs to wait for 1 more month. No,
Yep.
2 months. 2 months.
Why he's destating though? What's it helping with?
I guess he's trying to get more.
I'm destating here because to lower my gov cap. I was over gov cap, which increased my stab cost.
Trade companies? I don't know.
Just why he's doing that.
And you see there, I griefed my admin points accidentally. Oops. So it was really close.
There was some saves that Lambda saved me in the past, like sent me the past to save, like from his speedruns, and they looked pretty much like this. Plus, like no monies no loss to be taken, and not 100 level extension, but like 400. That's usually how it looks like. The nation is just, it's collapsing. It might collapse by the end.
Living
He
on
was
the
over
edge.
Gov.
And there we go. I got it. So, I actually got all 7 points. I'm very happy about this result. I own the most provinces as well, although it's really close. Good on Corbett for almost beating me, actually. Like, I think we were roughly on even footing. You could even argue Vijayanagara has an advantage. I am not too sure about that. Like, I do think Jaunpur has easier access to provinces, even though they start fewer provinces. But either way, I thought this was a fairly good game. I mean, I guess like he didn't get too many points. I think he ended up with 2 points. Or according to this, just 1. But I'm pretty sure he had 2. Weird. Well, it doesn't matter. I won. Okay, final game. Japan. So this time I pick last, meaning I get to pick the missions first, or the challenges. So, what's on the menu, right? Well, there are 2 dominant picks here. Oops. So, there's Uesugi and Hosokawa. These 2 are the dominant picks in this region. And they are actually, I think Hosokawa is slightly better than Uesugi in terms of 1444 position, just because they have a dominant naval position, and you can do a lot of things with naval stuff in Japan, just because you can island trap and so on. And like being able to get the siege bonus on coastal forts is also very important. And in 3rd place, I would place Ochi, but like the gap between 1, 2, and 6 is like massive. But like Ochi is decent because they have a decent economy. They have a COT. They have a level 2 for it. And yeah, they're overall in like a decent place position wise. And I think the rest are pretty bad, or like equally bad, I think. Yamana is actually decent, but I don't know. Actually, for some reason, I really don't like Yamana, even though a lot of they do tick a lot of boxes. Um, yeah. So is interesting, right? Because they can become a pirate, and if you become a pirate, you can raid coasts and get a lot of money, so you can hire mercs and stuff. So I actually think So is also a decent pick as well. Um, but yeah, by far it's these two at the top. So since I'm picking last, I want to avoid being put in a situation where like I'm sort of pinned, right? So um, I'm banning with a different mindset at this point.
Of course.
Okay, so Corbett opens by banning Hosokawa, right? He bans the strongest nation, and at this point there are three OPs or three strong nations in my mind, and if I sort of don't ban one of them, he's gonna pincer me in a situation just like I did for Vijayanagar. So I believe I follow up by banning
Shimazu.
Uesugi. Yeah, I say Uesugi, but Ludi said Shimazu, so they actually think I banned Shimazu. But the ban was actually Uesugi. Okay, so at this point, we're split on Ochi and So. Ochi is probably better, just because they have a better economy and they start in mainland. I was actually kind of praying that Corbett didn't notice that Ochi is a strong pick. It's the strongest pick here. But like really, this is like the best thing I got just because Corbett got the first pick. So Corbett bans Yamana, which I think is a good ban. Like Yamana objectively should be strong. It's just that for some reason I don't like it. I've never like had good experiences with it. So I don't know. So he gets Ochi. Oh, right. So here, why didn't I ban Ochi? Well, because I don't want him to take So, and also I was also hoping that he didn't know that Ochi was a strong nation. But he did, so he picked Ochi. So I slightly lost the pick phase here. Not surprising though, because he got the first pick. And, I get the first pick in the challenges, which I think is more important. Okay, so let's talk about the challenges. Okay, so there's some like trivial challenges. Golden Age is mostly trivial. No CP, this one's pretty easy as well. Stay with 100% loyalty, that's also pretty easy. And so the rest is meh, right? So if you successfully beat Ashikaga and take Shogunate, you get sorry, let me pick a color. Guy. Oh boy. You got this guy. Oops, this guy. And this guy almost for free. Actually, there's a caveat. Controlling all of Japan means that you need to fight Ryukyu, right? Which means you have to fight Ming somehow. So this might be slightly hard, but if you do get this, you also get move your capital to Okinawa. So it's sort of like you either get all or none with these sorts of challenges. By the way, how do you get 60% crown land? You just release and play as a vassal, which you can do if you're independent, right? You just have to release a nation that does not exist. Um, so, um, so yeah. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, let's do like the really easy ones first. right? And then depending on what Corbett picks, I might like all in on some of these challenges, or sort of split it, right? To slightly make it harder for Corbett to like sweep me by taking Shogunate and just winning. So that's on my mind.
So,
So let's see. So I get to pick the challenge first, I believe. Okay, I just do no CB. What does Corbett do? He does 2 allies of 100 trust. I think this is meh. It's doable, but as Japan, like, it's so volatile in that region. So I don't know about this. I think this is like mid priority at best. And I do... Okay, so here I do have 4 non-tributary subjects. I can't justify that. This seems like a bad decision. I should do one of these two. But I picked that probably because it's the easiest of the beat Ashikaga type of challenges, right? 2, 6, 8, 10 are all hinges on beating Ashikaga. And of that, I think 9's the easiest. I guess 6 is the easiest because you release and play as. Okay, Corbett does 60% crown land. So at this point, like, we're sort of split on the beat Ashikaga challenges. But I'm glad that I picked one of them out, because at this point, like, at best he gets 3 points from winning Ashikaga instead of 4. So I do Golden Age. I should have picked that earlier, I think. Because, like, if he picked one of the pink ones, the Ashikaga ones, I should react by picking another Ashikaga one, I think. But I shouldn't have preemptively gone for this. Like, I think if he picked this, I go for this or something to split up the challenges. Now he picks capture 5 ships in 1 naval battle. This is hit or miss. Like, it could be easy, it could be not easy. It's really RNG dependent, I feel like, depending on how the AI decides to engage your navy. Yeah, this is like mid, I think. It could be super easy or it could be like impossible, depending on how the AI acts. Okay, so since he didn't pick like an Ashikaga related mission, I'm gonna say pick this one. Okay, having to save 100% loyalty. And now he takes another Ashikaga one. And at this point, I'm thinking, like, do I split it? Or do I just all in on not... do I just abandon this Ashikaga one? And then just all in on 4 points, plus hopefully the bonus. And I decide on taking Never Tech up, and not even trying to go for the Shogun War. Although, I mean, it's still in the back of my mind, like, maybe I could do it, but, like, it'll be hard. And so we split like this. He has 3 missions that are related to essentially beating Ashikaga and taking Shogun. Okay? So in my mind, I won, because these are quite hard to do. And also, I should talk about the tie, right? So right now, Corbett won 1 round, I won 1 round. But since I have more points overall, if on a tie, the tiebreaker means that I win just because I have more points. So I'm thinking, like, if I get 4 points, like, he's not going to get 5 points. Like, it's very unlikely. Which is why I'm, like, relatively happy with this arrangement. Until this happened, right? The bonus is change your religion. Now, this change your religion is yet another mission that sort of hinges on beating Ashikaga. And it's actually quite easy to flip Animist as long as you beat Ashikaga, because you just declare on Ainu and then lose all your promises and flip. So this sort of made me worry a bit, because, like, now Corbett can get 5 points up to just by beating Ashikaga. So now I'm thinking, do I abandon the Never Tech up and actually go for beating Ashikaga? That's on the back of my mind at this point. I do that. But so wasn't as great as I thought. Why? Because one of my missions is 100% loyalty estate. If I become a pirate republic, I don't have estates, so I actually can't complete this. I didn't think about this at all. So I'm just playing a monarchy that's in a very shitty spot. Like with this particular agenda or challenge, like so is the worst nation. Um, but I accidentally picked it, so yeah, that happens, and I believe I restart fairly early because I messed up a war. So first of all, my no CB on I think this is Tsutsui is working pretty well. I successfully beat them, I think. But I think I lose a mainland war. Basically, I'm trying to go for a humiliate rival so I can prep for firing a golden age, which you can't see. This is the 5th one, fire golden age. But I can't get it to work. Like I just lost, so I restarted. I 1444'd. Next 1444, I don't know if I can show it, but basically basically my second attempt, I got the no CB off successfully. I became a pirate republic, and I realized that I can't get the estate thing, so I 1444'd again. And I kept 1444ing because I couldn't find the right setup to do my no CB thing, to do this. Like, I just couldn't find the right setup. I ended up restarting for roughly 30 minutes. I wasn't too bothered by the constant restarts, by the way, because in my mind, like around the 20-minute mark, I just abandoned all hopes of beating Ashikaga. So I just decided to go for the 4 points. And at this point, I was hoping that Corbett doesn't get 5 points. It was reasonable. Like, Corbett could have gone more than 5 points, I think, but I couldn't really contest it. So I said, okay, let's just go for 4 points. So I wasn't too worried about constantly restarting. But yeah, eventually I got the right start. I don't know if I can see it. Yeah, my gameplay is very boring because I don't do much. So they were probably looking at Corbett most of the time. Yeah, 1446, and it's 25 minutes left. Like, I kept restarting because I couldn't find that nice 1444 war. But I believe I finally got in this timeline. And, yeah. Like, all my challenges were just pretty easy, I thought. But I messed up and actually bankrupted mid Humiliate War. I don't know if it shows it. But basically I bankrupted in my first Humiliate War. So I had to abandon that war. You see how I'm low stab. So I'm waiting till my bankruptcy modifier goes away. I'm tech 3 because I can't tech up, and the surrounding nations are starting to become tech 4, which kind of sucks, but I was able to build up an economy, get 12k mercs, and then, yeah, like, it doesn't show me playing at all because I wasn't doing anything. And then I got Humiliate. I don't know. It's like the Corbett show, just because I wasn't doing much. Not sure if they ever show like what challenges I had, but let me just go over what challenges I got, if I can get to a screen where it shows all the challenges. Yeah. That I was just 1444 spamming until I got it. Having to stay with 100% loyalty. Basically, the idea is that you just take all the loyalty equilibrium privileges, plus the privilege that lets you enact a decision to get 15 loyalty. So I did on the nobility. So I let it tick up to like 75% loyalty or something. I sell crown land, use the decision, and boom, 100 loyalty. Golden Era from Humiliate, Renaissance, and Dev. As Dev pushed my land because I'm not teching up, right? And then Golden Age, which you can't see, that's that Golden Age is the 5th one that you can't see, and I have never tech up, so that's 4 points for me. And seems like Corbett's run didn't work out too well. I think he got like 1 point, but basically I won. So that's a very long summary of all the things that happened. By the way, if you want the links to this, go to this channel, Speed5 Official, go to Live, and these are all the games. They're also doing like certain summary videos. They used me with cat ears. Ugh, what an embarrassment. So presumably you'll see like a summary video of like the finals, I assume. Anyway, so I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to talk about. Let's see. Anything else on my agenda? Yeah, maybe some overall thoughts on this game, of this kind of gameplay. In case people are interested in how I think you should sort of approach this kind of game is ooh. Okay, my pen is not working. This is a bit awkward. Oh, it worked now. So, being first pick on your nation, I don't even think is that good. Like, being first nation pick isn't that advantageous. I believe first challenge pick tends to be better. So, yeah, like picking first, even though it was phrased during the event, like, is a good thing. Like, if you win the coin toss, you get to pick the first nation. You get to, sorry, pick a nation first. I think actually losing the coin toss and getting the first challenge is better. Like, yeah, like generally, like you can't encounter these cases where you can like really outdraft in the nation phase. And I should probably talk about banning nations. I sort of talked about my strategy against Corbett in the finals with the Vijayanagar and Japan. But yeah, like you want to sort of think about what are the OP nations, and you want to adjust accordingly, right? Like if you're for a first pick, you want to ideally put yourself in a situation where there's one OP pick at the end, you pick it, and the enemy has to pick some noob pick. I was sort of able to do that with Vijayanagar. And vice versa, you have to try to avoid being in that scenario if you're second pick. So, you know, like, I think the decision making is relatively clear on what this means. Lag. Like, input lag, MP lag, it's crazy. Like, my lesson is I should always budget way more time. Like, most of the runs, I was cutting it way too close, and some, like, uncontrollable factor would have just ruined me. Okay? So, you know, I need to develop a game plan and learn to cut losses. I need to be a bit more conservative. That's what I learned. And I feel like if you look at my gameplay, it improves over time. Like, I play safer. I'm more content with not going for 7 points or something crazy, right? And the challenges weren't very balanced in my opinion. There are some challenges, sorry, there are some challenges that are trivial. That I do, but not for all of them. Like for example, you saw me just keep abusing the 5k ducats. Like this is trivial. You can do it as pretty much any setup at the very end using the lone trick. There's the one that's like getting more manpower than max, the thing that Corbett picked, oops, in the first round of the finals. Yeah, that thing is trivial. And there are some challenges that were just like super trivial to get that you should sort of gun for. There are other ones like Crownland and stuff that you can cheese by releasing and play as at the end. So yeah, there are just some like really easy challenges that you just need to gun for. And similarly, there are some challenges that are deceptively difficult, or traps. Like the 100 prestige one. That one's hard to do, especially for a small nation. AT, Army Tradition, Naval Tradition, stuff like that. Dismantle, I think Dismantle is very hard just because of diplomacy RNG. And so I think draft really matters. especially picking the right challenges. You want to sort of develop a game plan and have like a well-rounded set of challenges that you can sort of chain together. And I think that's very important. Um, but yeah, I think like a very large chunk of the game of this tournament or competition is just picking the right challenge, the draft. And it took me a long time to learn that, but I think towards the end I was able to showcase like a good mastery of it, I think. And I guess like overall, maybe I should talk about competition in EU4 as sort of a philosophical thing. I don't know. I think EU4 is not a good spectator sport. Like, there's not much action that goes on. It takes a long time to get into the gameplay in EU4. So I'm, you know, I think like Speed 5 or like all these tournaments like are really starting at a very disadvantageous position because EU4 is just not a good spectator sport, but you got to make do with it. Um, I think this idea of like completing as many challenges as possible in a time limit is like a pretty sensible, I guess, compromise between not wanting to spend, like 50 hours for a competition and, being somewhat competitive or like involve creativity and skill. Yeah, I'm still a very single player person. I think EU4 is best played when played slow, because when played quickly, you just don't get to interact with much of the mechanics, and EU4 in general is just not well suited for playing fast. Like the shortcuts are bad, UI is bad, especially UIs for managing a big country. So yeah, I think I was asked like whether I liked the draft. I think it was a refreshing experience, but I'm still going to enjoy single player more. Um, yeah. Um, I think if I had to assign any notion of skill to U4, it would be better tracked by a single player. But again, this is totally arbitrary and my own sort of thoughts, so I'm probably not going to expand too much, especially because my throat hurts, and um, it'll be quite long. Maybe I'll talk about like no, I don't think I'll bother like expanding on like why I think single player is a better way to express knowledge in U4 than like these kinds of challenges, because in the end it's just my own personal thoughts, which is kind of biased by what I'm good at anyway. But yeah, it was fun. I won. I think a lot of people were unsure how I do in this kind of setting, like multiplayer setting. Um, I think like in the beginning, you can clearly see that I did not know what I was doing. Over time, I improved and sort of learned to pace myself better. And yeah, I think like the, I guess the final conclusion is that single player skill and knowledge does translate pretty well to this setting. Um, so yeah, I I don't think I won by like pure fluke. I think there were some lucky elements, but overall, I think in the preliminaries, I was somewhat on the unlucky side with the challenges and with the challenges I got. And in the finals, well, I think game one, I was pretty unlucky with just the emperor just swapping a bunch. If Austria kept the emperorship, then I would have gotten 5 points. Um, I think game two, I was somewhat lucky in the what I had available in terms of nations, but I do think I like really outdrafted in game two and just got myself a good nation and a good set of challenges. Game three, I sort of got lucky, or rather, I think Corbett got a bit unlucky. I think he had a reasonable chance at beating me. Um, but yeah, overall, I would say it was a pretty good run. And well, now you see me. That's me. I have streamed with webcam on. I don't feel... I feel a bit meh about it. Well, maybe more personal things are to come in a different video. I just wanted to quickly, slowly, I don't know, talk about the Speed 5 experience while my mind was still fresh. So, bye-bye.